The lights of the airport hall darted in the corners of Noya's eyes as he rushed towards the correct gate, his heart pounding wildly. He had been restless the whole day, waiting to finally get on the plane home. He left his friends with detailed instructions about the rest of the trip, so at least someone finished it, and then spent several hours finding a plane ticket that would get him to Tokyo. In the end, he had to take a night flight with 2 transfers, but at that point, he didn't care. He just had to get home to Asahi. Nothing else was on his mind. The call scared the heck out of him. He couldn't remember the last time he heard his boyfriend sound so distressed. Perhaps only when he pulled that damn hurt prank on him half a year ago. But that was different. Back then, Asahi was panicking. Now, he just sounded resigned, and that scared Noya more than anything. He could work with Asahi's occasional mood swings into overthinking and sadness, but this was something utterly new, and he wasn't sure what to do except for rushing home and praying nothing happened while he was waiting for his plane. Set by the gate, he mentally pushed the clock and plane at the airport to finally arrive. It was the final connection. He was tired, but the worries kept him going. He tapped his foot nervously, checking his phone every few seconds for new messages or calls that would mean something was wrong. Earlier, he called Daichi and Sugawara, practically begging them to go check on Asahi, which they promised. He felt bad for dragging them all the way from Sendai to Tokyo, but nothing else came to mind. Asahi didn't know any of his friends from Tokyo, and he couldn't just send a complete stranger to their home. At least he could be sure Asahi trusted them. He let out a shattered sigh and folded his head into his palms. I shouldn't have left. I should have known something was happening. He inwardly cursed his wanderlust for taking him away from Asahi when he needed him the most. He should have cancelled the trip the moment he saw Asahi's expression back then. Alas, it was too late now, and all he could do was clean the mess he made. Even when he finally sat on the plane, his hands gripped on the handrest so hard his knuckles turned white, he couldn't relax. He had to look terribly nervous, enough so the older woman next to him offered him a few pieces of candy to get his mind off the flight, apparently thinking he was scared. Still, he accepted the sweets with a grateful nod, hoping the sugar could wrap his nerves a bit before they land. The sun was already rising when he made his way through the hordes of people in the main airport hall. Memories of his last adventure when he went home alone still fresh in his mind, he put aside enough money before and waved for a taxi. For the whole ride, he was tapping his fingers into the seat, startling when a message from Daichi pinged on his phone. Fortunately, it was just a quick note that he had to go back to Sendai to work, but that Sugawara was staying since he had vacation. I'm coming, dear. Just hold on for a bit longer. I swear I will be with you soon. He almost forgot his backpack in the taxi and took the stairs by 2, his heart thundering in his chest. He then took a deep breath in front of the door to calm down a bit and opened quietly, worried he could scare Asahi if he was already awake. Soft light filled the living room, but there didn't seem to be anyone around. Asahi? Suga-san? Muffled rustling sounded from their spare room, and soon the door opened, revealing slightly disheveled Sugawara, motioning for him to be quiet. Noya nodded and carefully took down the backpack before following Sugawara to the kitchen. How is he? His own voice sounded strange to his ears, but he supposed that was normal for the situation. Suga had to notice it too and squeezed his shoulder, giving him a gentle, reassuring smile. He's sleeping now, but he will get much better now that you are here, don't worry. Thanks, Suga-san. I know it was really sudden and I dragged you all the way here, but... Don't mention it. And it wasn't a big issue. We were free anyway. Daichi wanted to wait for you too, but they called him back for some meeting or whatever. But he said to tell you not to panic too much. Noya sighed. That's easy to say. I don't even know what happened. He was just apologizing on the phone and I don't know why. Suga tapped on his shoulder and pushed a cup of tea towards him. I'm sure he will tell you when he wakes up. His eyes strayed towards the bedroom door, similar worries to which Noya felt mirroring on his face. Though maybe don't jump at him with questions immediately. Let him speak first. Noya nodded in a daze. His tongue was already burning with all the questions he asked himself during the flights, but he trusted Suga's judgment in regards to people and emotions. He was a teacher after all, a damn good one. They sat at the table with the tea in front of them, locked in a quiet conversation as Noya half-mindedly recounted the trip up until the strange call, when the bedroom door creaked. You? Noya jumped up and sprinted to Asahi, wrapping his arms tightly around his waist. He bit back all the words rushing to his mouth and instead buried his face into his boyfriend's chest, his heart skipping a beat when, after a moment of hesitation, he felt Asahi returning the embrace with the same amount of desperation he felt himself. I'm home, dear. Asahi just nodded and tightened his embrace as if that was the only thing keeping him alive. Noya led him, rubbing soothing circles into the older man's back. I'm so sorry, you. Noya clenched his jaw and shook his head. Not this again. Don't be. I don't know what you are sorry for, but I doubt it's something worth apologizing for. I ruined your trip. If I didn't... Desperate, Noya pulled away a bit and took Asahi's face in his palms, making him look down into his eyes. Hearing so many apologies from Asahi's mouth hurt, but seeing him like this, so sad and broken, shattered his heart. Stop with this. You didn't ruin anything. Stuff happens, that's just how it is. He caressed the soft cheekbones, giving Asahi a pleading look. Can you tell me what happened? Asahi sighed, but then nodded, and Noya could feel his fingers twitching on his sides. He stood up on his tiptoes and gave Asahi a quick peck on the lips, gently nudging his chest. Take your time, it's fine. No, it's just... Can you wait a moment, please? Confused, Noya let go and stepped back, following Asahi with his gaze as his boyfriend disappeared through the door to his office. He turned to ask Suga about it, but the silver-haired man was already gone. Then his phone clinked with a new message. I will leave you two to talk alone. If you need me, just call, okay? Good luck. He sent a quick thumbs up in response, but then all his attention shifted to Asahi, who slowly approached him, one of his hands clenched into a tight fist, doubts clearly visible on his face. Noya shook off the confused stupor and took Asahi's free hand into his own, feeling him relax a bit. What is it, dear? I'm sorry. Asahi. No, wait. I'm sorry for worrying you. I should have just told you everything before you left, but I couldn't bring myself to, even though it wouldn't really change anything in the end. When you called, I panicked because I was overthinking everything again and it got the better of me at that moment, so sorry about worrying you and making you rush home like this. I didn't want that. Noya cupped his cheek. I wasn't mad about it in the first place. But what did you want to tell me before? Is it because of that date you wanted to go on before I left? Yes and no. Noya furrowed his brow. I don't think I follow. Asahi took a deep breath and gave his hand a light squeeze. It's partially about it. It made me overthink because it looked a lot like a bad sign for what I wanted to do. But it didn't start there. Not entirely. His eyes strayed to his fist before returning to meet Noya's gaze. So vulnerable and sincere it made Noya's chest constrict. Remember how you asked about what I was doing that I couldn't show you? Yeah. You said it's a surprise and that you will tell me eventually. I was going to, on that date. But then you were going away and I just... In my mind it looked like the universe was making you dodge what I wanted to do and I panicked. I wasn't entirely sure before either about giving it to you, but after that it got really bad. Which isn't your fault, not at all. I could have just done it there and then, but I suppose I was too much of a coward to do so. Noya's stomach dropped. Wanted to do what? He wouldn't... Right? You don't want to break up, right? He hated how small his voice sounded, but the prospect was too terrifying for him. Asahi's eyes widened. No, of course not. How did you... Oh, no, I didn't mean it like that. I swear it's supposed to be a nice surprise. He sighed and squared his shoulders a bit. I'm sorry, I'm messing this up. Let me start again, okay? Properly this time. Noya opened his mouth to ask what did that mean, but all words died off on his tongue when Asahi lowered himself to one knee, still holding his hand in his own. He then opened his fist, and Noya's vision hazed, seeing the golden ring resting on his palm. Is this... Asahi nodded, biting his lip nervously. Yeah. Would you want to marry me when the time comes? Noya managed to just nod, his voice getting caught in his throat. He threw himself around Asahi's neck, his hands slightly trembling, and Asahi let out a strangled chuckle. I take that as a yes. Of course it's a yes. Why would you? How could you even think I would say no to you? I was worried you wouldn't want the ring or be bound to me when I would just be dragging you down from fulfilling your dreams. Noya clicked his tongue and pulled away to squeeze Asahi's cheeks, narrowing his eyes at him. You are not dragging me down. Do you even know how awesome and calming it is to come back home when I know you are waiting for me? I don't need you coming with me on all my expeditions. All I need to know is you are with me. It doesn't matter if it's physically or in thoughts. Asahi stared at him for a moment without a word, and then his features softened with a smile. He took Noya's hand and gave it a light kiss before sliding the ring onto his finger. I should have known you would say something like this, right? Noya huffed and wiped his eyes to see the ring better. It was beautifully made, and while it didn't look expensive, the feelings it carried inside were burning on his skin like a wildfire. Surprised, he soon realized the ring was made of 2 thunderbolts carrying a bright red stone in between them, and on the other side there was an inscription of their initials engraved into the gold. His heart swelled. So this is what you were creating? Yes. That's why I couldn't let you see it before. He avoided his gaze, his fingers twitching around Noya's own. I'm not good at designing jewelry, but I thought it was fitting for you. The bolts and spinel. Spinel? The stone. The jeweler said it symbolizes energy and joy and is supposed to bring vitality and vigor to the one carrying it. Noya grinned while examining the stone, enchanted by all the little glimmers in it. It's beautiful. He wrapped his arms around Asahi's neck, pulling up for a kiss. This time, Asahi returned the gesture, leaning a bit down so Noya didn't have to stand on his tiptoes. Noya used the opportunity when they parted to jump up into Asahi's arms, wrapping himself around him like a koala before he lightly stabbed his finger into his shoulder. I'm really happy, just so you know, and I would be happy any time you would give this ring to me. Asahi chuckled and nuzzled their noses together. I know that now. I was worried you might not want the ring since it can be dangerous to carry jewelry when you travel. I don't want you get robbed or hurt because of a ring. Noya shook his head at that. Don't worry about it. I can get a tattoo instead of the ring for traveling. That way, everyone will know I'm the luckiest guy around when I have a perfect husband waiting for me at home. He grinned when Asahi blushed and pressed a short kiss to his lips before slumping over his shoulder. But now I'm tired. Can we go to sleep? The flights were absolutely horrible. Of course. You can sleep as long as you need. With you next to me. With me next to you. I'm not going anywhere, I promise.